Perfect. Okay, hello and welcome. We are live from Studio One at Royal Holloway Media Arts Department. And today we are talking about what we wish we knew at uni for a career in film and TV. I'm Josh, one of the alumni who put on this event today, and I'm joined by Owen, an alumni who, what did you study at Media Arts?
Film and television, digital production, that long old degree title.
Yes, and we also have Morgan, who studied the same, and then we have Charlotte, who did...
I did liberal arts with film and TV production and psychoanalysis.
Amazing. And we're all here today to talk about our experiences of going from university and getting into the career and the path we've taken and where we are now, and hopefully to give you some knowledge on ways of getting into the career you want after university. So, without further ado, let's start with introductions on how you've gone from university to the career now. I'll quickly start with myself very briefly. So, I'm Josh Barker. I, at university, studied film, TV and digital production, media arts, and I also, on the side, did rhubarbTV. And I found that very useful as well, because rhubarbTV is where as you'll see with all these cameras, where I discovered live streaming and how fun multi-camera and TV was. Now, as we all know, TV is on the decline, unfortunately, but you can still have fun with live streaming. So that's what I did at Holloway. And I studied editing, and I did a sort of cinematography course, which doesn't exist now, called Moving Pictures, I think it was called. And I don't think it's on now. And that was all very fun, and yeah, I learned lots of stuff. But after leaving university in 2019, we had a pandemic, and that was very difficult. But luckily, through learning and being at rhubarbTV, I learned all this amazing multi-camera stuff, and so it was very useful for my career. And basically after that, ever since, I've been in multi-camera, either with podcasts, developing down that route, because as you'll find with freelance and media in general, things change and develop, and what was hot at one point is no longer hot anymore. A lot of people in TV, for example, say, I have a friend who used to work at ITV Daytime, and that, unfortunately, is starting to plateau, and they're ever getting more smaller. But that means other doors in other places are getting bigger. So, for example, content creation. I've been asked by BBC Comedy to film stuff, and it's not because it's no longer TV was the king, it would seem. It would seem content is king, is what I find. We'll find out from you three in a second. And so that's my career so far. And so I freelance. I've always been freelance since university because I couldn't actually get a job, and I just found it easier to just jump on things and do bits and bobs, and eventually just you work yourself up to getting lots of little jobs, which makes your career. And I really enjoy it, and freelance is very flexible. It also comes with other things like worry about getting work and stuff, but if you just keep developing and working to work a different way to someone employed, it's a very fruitful career, and you can make it work. So that was my trip from university to where I am now. We're going to move on to Owen. Owen, tell us about what you've been doing since university. What did you do at uni, and where are you now, basically?
Thanks, Josh. It's really nice to be back. I graduated in 2018, so it's been quite a while since I was a student here. I was at Rhubarb the same time that Josh was. Josh was our head of live stream and was like head and shoulders above the rest of us. So really, really excited and pleased that Josh has had such a great career so far in live streaming, because he was already there when he was there at Rhubarb. I myself, I've taken sort of a different sort of media career than like a lot of kind of what you'll hear from kind of Charlotte and Morgan. I've had quite a bit more corporate-y sort of existence, but still very much in sort of the entertainment sphere. When I left Royal Holloway, I've had a variety of different jobs in sort of TV networks and digital media agencies. There's one in like Little Dot Studios where I was in very much the digital media side of things, running YouTube channels for our clients like Viacom and BBC and Netflix. And another sort of highlight was I worked for WWF, the conservation charity, as a producer there. And so I was responsible for producing all of our photo shoots and sort of films that we would kind of create, which was a real sort of passion project for me. And then currently I'm working for Universal Pictures, the big kind of media company. I'm bit of a complicated thing to try and explain exactly what I do, but I'm a digital strategist in our digital distribution, which is a fancy way of saying I manage the strategy for a lot of our YouTube channels. So the team and I basically run YouTube channels for different IPs and different brands that Universal have, but it's all for revenue basis. So kind of we do a little bit of marketing, but it's mostly we're generating revenue. So either on YouTube or Snapchat, TikTok, we create a lot of content across all of the different social media. For example, like the US office, that's kind of one of the channels we run. And as I'm sure you guys know, on YouTube, you watch a YouTube video, you see an ad, we get a portion of that revenue that YouTube gets from that ad, and that's how we generate kind of revenue from the content we create. I oversee all of our movie channels, and I'm there responsible for the strategy. How do we grow them? What kind of content do we create? All of that kind of fun stuff.
Amazing. Cool. Charlotte, tell us a bit about your career.
Yeah, so I didn't study film and TV at uni. I studied liberal arts, but I kind of like built into my degree quite a lot of film and TV production. And I also was a rhubarb member with these lovely guys. And one thing I did, which was super useful, was I did a lot of, during summer, trying to get experience on like short films as a runner and things like that. And then when I graduated university, I graduated in 2020, which was wonderful for the job market. But I was lucky to get a job at Pinewood Studios working for a small company that made online videos. So like they would make kind of like online videos for actually a lot of universities. Royal Holloway was one of their clients, like informative videos and things like that. But it wasn't in the TV or film industry yet. And then after that, I managed to get a job at a production company called Avalon in their factual department as their production assistant. So I managed their office, managed their in-house kit and supported all their productions. I worked there for a year, and then because there wasn't really any room to progress from the production assistant at the very junior level to a more kind of senior position in the company, then I went on to freelance. So now I'm a freelancer and I work in unscripted TV, and I'm trying to move into where I wanted to be, which was scripted production, which I'm finding quite difficult starting from an unscripted background. But I've done one film as a production secretary, but another thing that I do, which has been very, very useful, is I edit. I work as an assistant editor for half the year in unscripted, which has been really useful for getting that consistent work, having another kind of skill that I can use to make money. As Josh said, like, it's really about content creation, sometimes taking lots of little jobs. But yeah, that's me. I'm still currently freelancing, still currently straddling between scripted and unscripted, trying to get on the scripted side. But yeah, that's how my career kind of panned out.
And amazing. So, and Morgan, tell us about your career.
Hello. I was in the same class as Josh, and after uni, stuck around in London. We ran a lot of streams together.
Yeah, so we worked together a lot, didn't we? We were very lucky, actually. So our careers almost started at university in our second year. There was this mad guy called Josh who loved live streaming. And Morgan, you knew a lecturer, is that correct?
We had a lecturer who was really good at social media, and then we met a comedian who wanted more live in his comedy club. So we hooked it up, we streamed there. Back during lockdown, which is when the careers really kicked off, I lived in this comedy club and we streamed from there every day. And then we got into doing Zoom gigs with Next Up Comedy. Then I got an offer to go back to Wales, where I'm from, and work in high-end TV. So I left and went down and did that. And I've been doing that for about 5 years now. So I work as an assistant director on jobs down in Wales, stuff like Doctor Who, Young Sherlock, Industry. And yeah, I'm working on the step-up positions now. It's been interesting coming from that side, since that's what I sort of studied, but then taking that little break and going over there, seeing a lot of different routes and ways in. But yeah, that's me.
Amazing, cool, very interesting careers. So I guess the next question will be, and the main topic of this talk is, especially with the career you've got now, and maybe if you have aspirations, I assume you'll probably do, to be somewhere else eventually in the industry or higher up or something. Is there, well, I guess the question is, we'll start with you, Owen. Do you have an idea of where you want to be, and was there a gap at university that you wish you pursued, or you wish you did at uni to enable that route to be easier? And I know it's always, as a student, hard to predict your future. You never know. You might try something and absolutely hate it. Like I thought I wanted to be an editor, and I did the editing course here, and it was great. But I realised eventually I was not quite fully cut out to be an editor, and I liked it happening live in front of me eventually. So we'll start with you, Ian. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one thing that you potentially don't get as much of an insight in university is how broad our industry is. And, there's so much to this industry, as you're sort of finding out here, kind of what we talk about, and we only maybe represent, a fraction of what there is out there. There's also talking about sort of what I maybe missed at university is I'd love to have known and sort of got to know more about kind of the business of our industry and like the economics of it, because I find that endlessly fascinating and sort of on a finance side. And, I respect these guys for doing production stuff, because you couldn't drag me out of bed at 5 a.m. to go to a field and shoot anything. And so I quite like the sort of more office-based boardrooms kind of working of our industry, but still being connected to entertainment and TV and film.
Amazing. Charlotte, same question to you.
I think because right now I'm having trouble shifting into the career that I want. I wish that I'd been more aware of the trainee schemes, of just kind of ways in that right now you are super eligible for. So like I'm looking at career sites every day, and Disney, Warner Brothers are currently looking for interns that I don't fit that criteria, but
Same
you
with
guys
Universal,
would.
by the way. Sorry, yeah, do apply.
Yeah, for people in their second year looking to do a placement in their third year, Warner Brothers are really looking for interns right now, for anyone that applies to. But yeah, I wish that I'd known that, and I wish that I probably didn't know it, but I wish that I'd kind of pursued it a bit more as my route into the industry. I do wish maybe that I'd known how heavily like who you know really helps bring you in, and I wish maybe I'd like made more of a connection with the media department here, the film department here, even though not fully being a part of it, because getting those steps in and opening the door on what really feels like a very closed industry is just so helpful. And it feels good to like feel like you're part of the industry, and that it wants you, and it wants you to be there, it wants you to like work with it. Whereas kind of being on the outside trying to pry in is quite difficult and can be a bit like discouraging sometimes. So I wish I'd taken advantage of a lot more of those training opportunities and like the resources here to find connections, establish connections with people working in the industry that could potentially help you get your first gig that leads to a fruitful career.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Morgan.
Yeah, I'll say the trainee schemes was actually a really important one, because I got onto my first job through the BFI Academy, but at the time I was sceptical over such things, but I recommend them massively. Most jobs I'm on now, every department has got a trainee. Down in Wales, we've got Screen Alliance Wales, who work with Bad Wolf. Very rare I'm on a job and I don't see a SAW trainee. So they are useful resources that I think more of us wish we'd utilised back then. In terms of personally, given the freedom we had while at uni, and I remember we had another alumni with us, Alex Preston, who's really good at coming up with stuff. We were so terrible at just actually getting something made, because it's difficult, it's a challenge, getting everyone together during your studies. But those sort of things were the best things I think I should have done to build that element.
The time.
Using the time to direct more shorts and network with people here and such, because those are really important things I've realised now. Especially my aspiration was always to be a director. And I've realised for me personally, TV directing, not for me. That is a brutal game. Film is much more engaging, I think, the way they're made and such. I think doing short films where you've got the time here to learn and make mistakes and have tutorage on them is a good time to have that. Because when you're in the real world, I was just saying to the guys before, I worked on a short with a friend, spent about 10k on it, of people's money, and it's a lot more stressful, and you don't have these people with you who can guide you through those processes. Now, as someone who's in the industry, who works a lot more, it's harder to find the time to do this sort of projects. I still try and first a lot of short films to meet people and network, but yeah, I think if you've got the time and the resources of the university.
Yeah, I mean, the time definitely is now. I don't know what years you're in, but even our third year, you do seem to have quite a lot of time after you've done all your studies. Now is the time at universities to do things. Don't let that disappear into the abyss.
It's like for both of us, we stuck around in the summers often, and we'd work on
Yeah.
short films, like a lot of the grad students who were making their short films during the summer period. So we'd stick around for those because they had a different knowledge. Sometimes they'd hire industry professionals, so you get to learn more about the roles. I think that would have been what I wish I had done more of at the time, because now it's a bit more daunting when you're sat there like, oh God, this is real. People are looking at me and I have to do this now.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, it's just, I found lots of value in, I think rhubarbTV was my driving force, like, especially because I came manager after you, and I was also live streaming while you were manager, and like, I felt like outside of my course, there was a purpose. I was like, I need to do this or that, and it was interesting to just, the push past challenges, and like we did a varsity live stream, and that was like the biggest rhubarb ever did. It had 10 cameras and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that was the start of like, oh wow, this is really cool.
So much cable.
I know, and it was amazing. And
it is great to do this kind of thing because, like, for my first couple of job interviews I did, I would reference that so much as, like, when you get asked a question of, tell us about a time you've overcome a challenge on set or like during a production. And obviously if you haven't got a lot of those experiences, you kind of haven't got anything to say. But yeah, having those experiences at, you know, with rhubarbTV or on the course is so handy, because then you can jump into, oh yes, when I did this at what, and you've got something to say, you've got proof of you've worked on productions, and you know, you can explain how you managed to kind of overcome the adversity in this or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's very handy.
So yeah, it's good. I mean, like, can any of you think of a time that was you did something at university that was useful? And so you've talked about in interviews. Do you two can think of anything along those lines? I know rhubarb, I guess, is probably a huge part for you, Charlotte.
Yeah. Rhubarb was my main thing too. What like useful to the uni or just like in general?
I think just useful to you as a career. I think what I found, it forced you to do something other than your course. I think sometimes you look at your course as work, because it is work and you're trying to get a degree. Whereas rhubarb was great because it felt like it was just having fun. You're having an experiment. You're trying something new that's not been done before. Like we would, as I've said, you know, just mad on live stream. I was like, oh, we could live stream this and that and that, and that's how I got the job with you. And having the time to be creative, to think creatively outside of your degree sometimes is great. Whether it's your own film project, live stream, podcast, like podcast is huge. That's what I film loads all the time. I think having to push yourself to do something. Rhubarb was great because you had to. There was a team behind you.
Yeah.
You said, I'm going to make this, and you've got to put pen to paper or SD card to camera, because otherwise it's not going to happen and everyone's going to...
Yeah. I think like it's also infinitely useful to be constantly working with different teams, working around different people in different scenarios, because you'll find in this industry, if you don't handle stress well, it is not looked upon kindly. So being able to like work so well with a team and the team that you're working with, and support everyone and communicate well and get a job done. And it's like, I think for any industry this is useful, but getting yourself out there, if you're doing film and TV, having a camera, having a team, having like a purpose, a reason why we're doing this, getting it done, and just being in different environments where you're working in different ways, where different challenges arise, is just so useful, because you can do your course and do all your coursework and you can make your short films or make your projects, but being just kind of like out in the world and like meeting people, working with different people who may not have the same knowledge as you, who may not have done the same course as you, but want to be involved, having to explain things to them, like it's just so useful for all of those interpersonal skills that are going to be really, really essential. I think in any career, but in film and TV specifically, all of those like skills that you really need to develop to be such a good member of the team, to keep getting those projects and to continue your employment for a long and fruitful career.
Yeah, definitely.
I will maybe add that, like, don't feel like you have to be doing stuff 24/7, you know, 7 days a week. I played a lot of PlayStation with my friends last year, and I don't regret any of that. So yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, oh my
Balance.
god, I always have
Yeah.
to
Nice
exactly
balance.
Balance.
find
to
that
find.
balance.
But don't do
yeah.
nothing.
It's a
No,
good point
find
though,
that
actually,
balance.
because I remember at the similar times to you doing rhubarb, me and Alex were trying to set something up that didn't really work, but we spent so much time in the planning of it, we did nothing. And then
Yeah.
third year was gone, and we were gone, and it was like, well, that was, could have made like 7 things by then.
Yeah.
And I think as
But,
well,
you know, but this is something I'm learning as someone who's trying to upskill into a business. There is no such thing as failure. Like, you tried.
Yeah, we tried something. I think the better way of thinking about these things is you had an experience of trying a thing and you learned from it. You know, I think that's even a thing professionally. The amount of things I see go wrong on the daily, and you think we've been doing this for years. How has this happened? But I think the space you've got here is good to try things. That's the main thing. And I think this will come back to something. I don't know how it has been for your years as much. Our class, I think, were purist, and if anything, too purist, where it'd be like, we must have the best equipment, all of the lighting, all of the sound. Since coming out of that and seeing how important like content creation is, and there's other ways of doing things, a phone's great. Like, just shoot it. Like, as if the story's good enough, and you want to make shorts, like, you don't need to, you don't need to die on a hill over getting a good camera in. And
Yeah.
we saw too many people do that, I think. Like, I've seen it in the industry now where most pros I talk to, like on the DOP level, you know, they're the techie guys. I'm not techie. I learned cameras with Josh, so I had some skills to fall back on for work. But as an AD, my entire role is essentially timekeeping, logistics, and personality based. Like, you've got to be likable for it to work. And I know some people who struggle with that, but it's different as well. But you talk to people, you learn what they like. DOPs, technical people, they'll tell you these important facts, and if you're interested in that and you can afford that stuff, it's great. All the directors I speak to, and we hang out with, and you chat away about, they just want to make a good story, you know. Similarly on this note, actually, on a slight tangent, one of the directors I work with who does Death Valley, a guy called Simon, great director, does comedy really well, loves horror films, hates how most things we shoot now have to look so pretty, because you can't get as much coverage. He's like, I'd rather go handheld, shoot 30 angles, and I've got way more to play with than do 3 nice looking setups. Like, so just shoot stuff. Like, it's easier.
Good advice. Good advice. I'm going to go slightly onto an interesting tangent now, unless anyone's got anything else to add to that.
No.
But it's to do with, so I guess, let's quickly ask, I know you were freelance. Who has been freelance or was freelance at any point? Yes.
I
Perfect.
like pension contributions and private healthcare too much to go freelance.
But I think freelance, especially for me, I found, so I literally went straight to uni, I couldn't get a job, and it got worse because then we hit pandemic, and so I just naturally went freelance. But I think it's the one thing I always was missed at university, because I guess not everyone goes freelance, but a huge portion of the industry is freelance, and it's just this, I guess the skills and like someone to tell you it's not that scary.
Yeah.
Tax returns are fine. If you really don't want to do it, just get an accountant.
Can I actually add something that's really funny to me? Because like, I remember when we left doing freelance.
Because we were freelancing together.
Yeah, your first self-assessment looks so scary. It is just your student loan applications. That is all it is. It's literally
Like
the same
a tax
thing.
return, I'm going to let you know now. It like unless your background's more difficult and you have dividends and stuff like that, and
Or you're really clever in gaming the system. It is the simplest thing you can do.
all you do is you set an account. Obviously, do it before the deadline, and you just fill out the questions that HMRC ask you. It is really simple. And if you don't know it, look it up. And if you don't know it, it may take a long time, but you can call them and they will tell you.
Also, I just want to add, you're talking from a perspective of people who like live stream. A lot of you, if you're freelancing as a PA or a runner or in any junior position in a team, you will be on PAYE.
Yeah.
You won't need to do
And
that.
so how does that work? So I've only ever been freelance.
So you have to
PAYE,
be
how
on the
does
right
that work?
side of the IR35,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then you have to opt as like you make your own company, and then
Do you still do a tax return? How does that work?
no.
No.
You're just full-time employed. It's like Owen, like,
Yeah, it's like a normal
they'll
salary.
take out your student loans, they'll take out a pension if you're on a show for long enough, they'll auto-enroll you into a pension usually.
Yeah.
That's something to think about, because pension pots for freelancers, start your own private pension and try and find all these pots right at the beginning, because your 20s is so important to build up your pension.
Don't
Just a little life advice.
I would just don't forget. I would say it's like I've only recently in the last few years I've really knuckled down and like I need my pension sorted, and I've got it all sorted. I've got a financial advisor. He's keeping an eye on it, and it you know it does work. And I think people forget how good a pension is. I think when I was at uni, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm going to be dead before I can use my pension," and that's not a good way to think.
I will say it's really showing our age of alumni
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
pensions.
Talking about
No,
pension.
Just lost the audience completely.
Yeah.
But just we're on this tangent, this admin tangent. Pensions are very important. It's incredibly lucrative. If you put in £100, the government for free will give you 20%, so £20. Now keep racking that up with percentage, and on average, if you've got a good pension, it's probably making anywhere between 12 to 30%, depending what stock you put it into, even more. And so when you're older, it's a great saving scheme, and people forget this. And like it gets even more lucrative as a freelancer. Like I asked my accountant hundreds of questions, and I didn't realise. Let's get onto tax bands very quickly. Sorry, I'm Martin Lewis for a second, but if you're earning over the threshold of 20%, let's say it's the threshold is 50,570. All your contributions into your pension knock down your threshold. So if I put in, let's say I put in 10 grand, that's quite a bit, but if you're earning that much, maybe you put in 10 grand. Now my 20% threshold is 60k, and you're not hitting that 40%, and you're keeping some extra money, and money's still going into your pension. There we go. That's my admin. But freelance is not that scary.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself. Accountant.
Sorry, one thing I will say about a freelancer is I think like we sort of sit here with like a little bit of privilege of, you know, if it didn't go okay, I could go home and live with my parents, and they just live just outside of Woking.
True.
I think you spent some time living at home.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And
like,
that is something that is scary about freelancing. Like we spoke about how there's dead months in the year for getting on new projects. For me, because I work in production, it's November, December, January. They're not always dead. Like I got off a project last year, week before Christmas, which was fantastic. But I'm currently not employed in the industry. I'm not working. I've not been able to find anything. So freelancing is a bit scary. But if you have the opportunity, or if you are able to, you can make it work. And in the first couple of years when you enter the industry, the idea is you want to build like a really good close-knit network of people.
I would almost say, I know I didn't do it this way, it would be better to start with an employed job, and then once you've built up a network and contacts and understand the industry more, well, you can tell me, Morgan, but like you could, I know a lot of camera operators, for example, especially in TV, who have done that because better paid jobs, more flexibility. If you can keep up the contacts and getting the work, it can be more fruitful and flexible.
Yeah.
Depends how you want to live, and eventually, you know, if you want a family and stuff, maybe, who knows. But I find a lot of people will go into freelance eventually because they've got to a point where they're
It's difficult
happy
not
to.
A lot of production companies are shrinking their in-house staff, and if you work like as like a PD or something, then you're not going to be full-time employed anyway.
Fine.
What's a PD?
Production director, the camera person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, production director. Yeah, non-scripted stuff, they don't have like in-house PDs. They just always hire them in.
Yeah, because with us, basically, in high-end TV, you will never have a full-time position for a year, because they just, it's taxi, boring stuff. But my contracts are always 3 to 9 months, and I'll work for that. Typically, like technically speaking, I'm unemployed at the moment, but the way it's just normal for us, because you'll go for this period of busyness, and then as an AD, there's lots of us around, because if we have like a big background day, they'll get 7 of us in to help out. So the way it works is you kind of filter out your contracts with your dailies. So for me, you know, I'll do a contract, normally 2 or 3 a year, and then I'll filter out the dailies, which is also, speaking of meeting people that and your networks, that's how it works for us. I did my first contract, then the runner who trained me was getting lots of offers that she didn't want, so I took those off her, and then you meet more people. In our world, there's sort of 2 schools of thought, where it's like, art department, for example, my sister's in art department, her shtick is like, she has a team, she goes with that team, the boss gets employed, they all go with her. My team is like, I've got like 4 or 5 first ADs and second ADs. They get employed, they try and take me with them. It's all kind of luck of the draw, and it can also just be a case of, like I was saying, who you know. When I did Young Sherlock last year, that was a crowd job, so I just did the background actors on that. It was 8 months down in Wales. Interesting job. But I got on that because they brought a load of London ADs down, so they did not know anyone in the area. The crowd team, who I'd worked with for years from my first job, gave them recommendations of good local ADs, and then they just brought in the locals, which I think comes back to the networking is so important. I think, saying about your first thing though, I think it is just you take the opportunities you're given. Like we took Angel Comedy because it was like it was there,
and it wasn't really what we were looking for. It just
filled the bills.
It appeared on our plate, and we were like, let's, there was nothing to lose, let's take it. And even in the beginning, I don't think we were even paid, were we? Because it was pandemic, and we were like, well, we might as well do something, and we knew live streaming, and it was a bit of fun, but
Yeah.
But we did. I'm sure you knew in the back of your head, if we do something, it might lead to something else.
Which
and
it did. It did. Luckily, they did pay us.
It led to paid work, and
after
our
6
careers.
months of thinking, are we getting?
Yeah,
paid?
I know, but so it is interesting. Does anyone else have any things they'd like to say? So we have about 20 minutes left about things they wish they knew or learnt at uni for your careers at all.
I'd be interested to hear what you guys are kind of thinking, or any questions for us.
I do have one I do want to bring
Go
in
on.
for us, which I think you'll, from your first job saying about this or whatever it is. When you're applying, when you're first out, if you're interested, this is more specific to TV and film. Those entry-level roles have got a lot of different names. The amount of interviews I went for as a production assistant, thinking that meant working on the film set, no, office job. It changes everywhere. Down in Wales, we're floor runners. Here, it's a set PA in London. God knows what it is in Scotland. But like it does change depending on where you are. So really read those descriptions so you're not wasting your time applying. And if you were like me, who was really headstrong on work on a TV set, and you get an opportunity to be a PA, and I was like, nah, none of that. I'm a film set person. Really, I should have been more open-minded, because it's a tight job market, and you can still get in that way and tweak things.
And film and TV and scripted, they like you to work up.
Yeah.
They don't really want you.
You got to do your time. It's a whole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because the other thing I think as well, which is the most important thing I think that I was too blind to see when we were at uni, but I know Alex had this, where this is going to sound strange, but it might not be for you, and that's totally fine. Like, I don't think even knowing it at uni, like when we did our short films and stuff, they're long days. No one can really prepare you that that's what it is for months. Like when we did a job recently, I was easily working 13, 15-hour days.
Well, I remember your first job, you said it was like horrendous. You were outside constantly. Weren't you drenched and cold? Constantly?
Oh, yeah, constantly, yeah.
Like,
Winter King nearly killed us. Yeah.
I remember being an art department runner on a very early job after uni, and we were working in essentially a field that was built into trenches.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring any boots. I was an idiot.
Yeah.
I had these trainers, and every day after that in the hotel room, I would put plastic bags over my socks into the trainers so I wouldn't get absolutely covered in mud and rain. And it was literally like, I think we started at 9 o'clock and we wouldn't finish till I think it was like 7 o'clock. It was just, and that was for 6 days.
And then you might have to do that for months as
For
exactly.
example,
the average day on a film set we say is 8 till 6. That's just standard, easy day. If you're an AD or costume makeup, you're more likely going to be doing like 7 or like 6 until 6:30. But those hours change if you go into night. So I did a job which was sold to me as office job, 8 till 6. Pack of lies, one of the hardest jobs I've worked. Hours all over the place. And I know there was the electrical team on it walked because the hours were so rough. They're like, we don't want to do this. And they get paid 3 times as much as me. So it does go to show that it's okay if you give it a go and you find that working this isn't your lifestyle. My best mate is also a runner. He's just left the industry because he said, like, I want a family. I want to have free time. I like going to the gym. This isn't for me anymore. Totally fine. I know people who leave and come back and do dailies. I think at the time, like I say, when we were at uni, headstrong, this is the only way. This is the way it must be.
But you got to try it. You got to try it. You got to have the passion.
Because funny enough, when I got the offer for doing the Disney job, me and Josh were working at this company as freelancers, and they had just offered us a department, being like, you guys can run the live streaming, you two do it.
It was terrible pay though.
Awful pay at the time, but we didn't know what money was. So like, they were making so much off us. That I turned that down to go and make people cups of tea and the opportunity to see if I liked it, and I did. So I stuck around.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to take a few steps back.
Yeah, totally fine.
To then get on the career path you want to take.
That's exactly what I'm going to have to
like,
do. To
even
get
with,
scripted.
you know, pay cut and stuff and role cut and status, like, if this is not necessarily what you want to do, it's absolutely fine to just take it all back.
Yeah.
And try a different avenue. So that's what you're doing, is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm probably going to have to do because I work as a junior coordinator in unscripted, but I'm going to probably come into scripted as a production assistant or a runner because even though I've been a prod sec on one feature, they're not really going to look at that and think, okay, well. But I was going to say quickly, Owen works in a completely different area of film and TV. We're talking about like on-set film and TV production, so Owen's career is an example.
What's
of
it like for you then,
pivoting?
In your part?
From my
for someone,
my day-to-day, like I work in an office in central London. I arrive at 9:30 and I leave at sort of 5:36ish.
That sounds lovely.
Okay, I don't want to hear about this anymore. I don't want to hear about what you do
Also,
anymore.
like Universal, we have 2 screening rooms on the ground floor where before Universal movie comes out, we get to have a screening of it during the working hours of the day, which is really nice. There's baristas on the 10th floor and it's free coffee and teas and everything. It's a very cushy life. And I think, you know, if there's one thing you take away from what I've said today is like, this industry is vast and production is a fraction of a fraction of that. And I specifically work in distribution. So like content's been created and then how do we distribute it to audiences? But there are so many different avenues in this industry, and even kind of on the fringes of like corporate media. And
did you even know you wanted to go that way, or did it just arise? How did you go down this path?
I was never hugely interested in like production for all the reasons. I'm too weak for that. I'm too lazy. Like as I've said, 9 to 5. Thank you. Good night. So that was never like roughly where I wanted to go. I was much more interested in the business and the sort of more office side of our industry, whether it was in, you know, sales and distribution or development as well, and sort of working out kind of what content to create and then handing it over to guys like this to actually go and actually create the thing. And I just kind of have started in some digital media agencies and worked on kind of digital content and working with stuff at the very tail end of its kind of life cycle of content. And I just really enjoyed sort of working in that world. And so I've just kind of graduated and moved up kind of in that world. But yeah, there is such a variety of jobs in this industry that I think it's easy to feel like it's pigeonholed into, I have to do production, I have to like, you know, do that kind of PA and sort of be a director and whatever that is. And if that's what you want to do, absolutely do it. Follow your dreams and make that work for you. But if you think, you know, I love being involved in this industry, but I don't want to have to put plastic bags over my socks to go to work, then there is room for you here. And there are plenty of jobs out there across our industry that you can absolutely be there for.
You know, I've got to say, that's a really great point, because I remember when we left, I don't know how much you had it with contacts with other alumni, but there was a few people who felt quite entitled to like a job after having the degree, and I think so many people get so pigeonholed.
No one cares really, do they? About,
I don't
well,
want to say
this
that out
is very
loud,
harsh, but like, I should add to that. They do care, but you know, lots of people do extra curriculum.
I say it's an argument of, it depends where you're applying and what you're doing. Like, my role is entirely personality. Like, your interview is basically just a social. Are you a dick? No. Great, come on job. If you're a bad person, you get kicked out.
Well, yeah, sometimes people get employed because like, oh, you're a mate, or you're nice, or
the amount of people I know who are basically personality hires. Yeah, there's a few of them.
But it makes a huge difference on a set. I'm not sure it's like an office, but like.
But what I was saying is, I think, once again, you're very headstrong. I think people were so fixated on the idea of working on a film set, you forget there's a broader element. And like, personally, that job sounds lovely. I'm quite jealous, frankly.
Are they hiring?
He's the one who. You have all these lovely YouTube gold buttons.
Yeah, gold plaques. We've got
That's great.
100 of those. I actually brought one today, so if anybody wants to see it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But no, we've got 100 of those. We work in like on nice big sort of screens. Everyone has their own own MacBook. Yeah, we have events that we kind of get to go to, both sort of in London or abroad. Like obviously Universal's head office is LA and New York, and so often there's kind of travel out to kind of those offices. It's cushy, man. It's cushy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to think of the next time I'm stood on a fucking muddy
Yeah.
field somewhere.
FaceTime me.
Cool. Before we go to questions, is there anything else you guys would like to add? No?
Yeah, no, that's what I was. I think if you are interested, though, if we haven't put you off and you are interested in the TV side of things, Screen Skills has got a really good thing of looking into the different roles. I did a lecture of my friend, Charlie, who is also an alumni from here.
Yes.
Yeah, he runs the Bristol Old Vic film course, so I went and did a lecture for them. And they do a system of they don't teach you about like the broader spectrum of the jobs that we do here. There was much more focused on junior roles. So you didn't leave with the understanding of how to be a DOP, you left with the understanding of how to be a second AC or a first AC and that sort of realm. If you are interested in the nitty-gritty filmy world or scripted, I'd say look at those roles so you understand what you're getting into. Because I remember when I went on to some of the short films we did in the summers, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you're a second AC. I don't have a clue what I was doing. They're like, oh yeah, you just got to clap the board. I was like, I have no idea what the numbers mean, who the script supervisor is, what they do. Like, it's one of those things to learn, I think.
Yeah, I know. Perfect. So, does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask? And we'll try and answer them to the best of our ability. Any questions? We do have a microphone. Hopefully you don't mind being on mic. We won't be on camera. If you want to put the mic over here, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it on? I don't know.
It's just for the live stream.
Okay, that's fine.
So yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for talking to us, because I find these things really inspirational. I learn new things every time people come in to speak, so thank you so much.
Okay.
My question, because I hear a lot about obviously the traineeships and also like things like being an extra for the day and things like that, but I don't know where you actually look for these opportunities, because I feel like they're quite hidden. You don't necessarily, they're not advertised very often, so I was wondering if anyone had any advice on where to find them.
You can access, so do you know the Screen Skills website? So they're on there. There's a Screen Skills website where I think you mentioned that they have loads of information and industry resources. The traineeship is not currently open, but they have a trainee scheme, they have a mentor and mentee scheme, and they are actually very good at replying to emails. If you find someone's email and say, hello, I'm da-da-da-da-da, they will reply back to you and like kind of list the kind of things that they have that would be appropriate for you. Also things like, so I mentioned that Warner Brothers are currently looking for interns, Universal are currently looking for interns. Just go on their careers page. So Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal Studios, they're all current. Did you say Paramount?
Yeah.
They're all currently looking for interns. So I guess it probably happens the same time every year. So if it's not appropriate for you right now, maybe next year have a look at the same. Have a look at the same time. Couple of websites that are useful in terms of finding opportunities like traineeships. I don't know, Screen Skills is very good. You did a BFI.
I did BFI
you
Academy,
a BFI
yeah.
one. There is Women in TV, Women in Film and TV, WFT. I can't remember the acronym for it, but I'm just trying to think of other websites that.
Do RTS have anything? Royal Television Society?
You know, I reckon they do.
They probably do.
Because
I
I
mean-
never went down them. I'm only familiar with a couple.
Yeah, if you've got more locals, like for me, Screen Alliance Wales, if you're Welsh, Film Cymru, I'm sure Scotland will have similar. The North probably does, because Manchester's got a really good film industry. Slightly a good question as well, adding extras. I forgot about that. And something I didn't know while we were here until I was working is that Longcross Studios is like a train stop away.
Yeah,
If you
I
could-
worked there.
Yeah, I did a bit of Witcher there, and I was like, oh my god, it's
But
literally.
Pinewood is so
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, exactly. And so Universal Extras, Creative Casting, and Phoenix are the main three operators down in here. It's a way of getting on set and seeing if you like the lifestyle. It's also pretty good money.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I see those chits go out and I'm like... but I will say as well, this one is a bit more nuanced, but you can just be a bit ballsy on these. I remember I worked with a second AS in sound who got a job by... like down in Wales, it's pretty obvious when we're filming. You see the signs and people turn up. So when we're on Doctor Who, there's loads of people always watching. I think he was telling me that he just saw the mixer pushing his trolley and he just yelled over the barrier, "I want to do what you do." And the mixer just pulled over and went, "What do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm studying sound engineering." He went, "Great, here's my number, contact me, we'll see if we can work something out." It can work if you've got a legit interest. The people on, I don't know how it is in your guys' side, but I will say in my lot, very narcissistic and love to talk about the industry. If you meet someone, even if it's someone, I don't know, you could probably DM someone on Instagram, be like, "I'm interested in being a second AC. Do you want to go for a coffee?" They will talk to you about it because like it's just what we do.
Yeah, I do a lot of outreach. So some people leave their email addresses on their IMDb profiles.
Yeah.
So I look for production managers, coordinators, and I do a lot of outreach, sending not like a cold email because it's a bit more like to do with them, talk about like the work they've done. I've seen you've done this, I've seen you've done this. I work as this. I'd love to be, have the opportunity to interview to be part of your team next time that you're gearing up. And either they don't reply to you or they say, "Sorry, we're full," or they'll say, "Email back in a couple of months." So either they'll ignore you or they'll be friendly. I've never had anyone reply back to me and say, "Oh, why are you emailing me?" Like, people do quite like that you're
They love the
seeking
attention.
them out and saying, "Oh, I'd love the opportunity to like join your team or interview." And like, you don't have to really suck up, but like people, in my experience, haven't been like rude when I've done outreach and emailed them. So don't like not have the confidence to do that but you specifically mentioned trainee schemes. So I guess Screen Skills, BFI, there's internships going on at the moment. I might have a look. I have a lot of tabs saved on my computer. I might have a look when I get home and send Josh some info to maybe relay to you guys. That might be helpful. I know Avalon, the company that I work for a lot, they do internships every year in their unscripted and scripted department. So yeah, I'll have a little dig for that because that would probably be quite useful to have kind of circulated for when the opportunities pop up.
Sounds good. Amazing. Any more questions? Yeah, do you want to hand the mic over?
Hello, I'm Deborah O, and I'm a little bit older than everyone here. I know it might not look like it, but I graduated with bachelor's in America in journalism with a concentration in sports management and PR, but I wanted to come and do my master's because, like Owen, I wanted to learn the business behind media, and I realized that I started off as an entertainment reporter, so I did a lot of red carpets on, digital content creation, things of that nature, but I realized I want to still kind of segue into understanding more so of like the business aspect. So now I'm studying international media management. But with that being said, as a person who is an international student, it is kind of hard, like finding, pathways, in the UK. So what would be some, some tips that can help out when it comes to maybe a person of my age, a person who has my experience, because I've been in the industry for over 10 years. And so, and how I can be able to pivot, my career from where I was doing before and now.
Anyone want to take?
Do you know, what do you think?
It's it's a really good question. I think it's a tough time to sort of be coming into the UK, and obviously I appreciate you might need a visa to work and stuff. Yeah, and I know like a lot of companies will sort of sponsor for visas, but like often kind of a lot of them won't. I think there's obviously as well with America, like there's a lot of American companies that are quite global, and so Universal being one of them, obviously. And so I wonder if there's some sort of areas there that can kind of you'll have that kind of connection with that might be more willing to take on kind of Americans and sort of sponsor visas because you'll have a lot more knowledge, understanding of them of America culturally than other sort of Brits might not.
That's a good point. Something that would like based in the UK but would have like a specialization in distributing to American audiences. I'm not too sure. That's really not my side of the industry, but I can,
There's also like I think it's, and I remember I was sort of guilty of this, of thinking, I only really want to work for the big brands. Like if it's not Universal, Disney, Paramount, or Warner Brothers, I'm not interested. But there is actually tons of medium and small players in the industry that have versions of all the jobs that the big players would, that I think potentially have less of a pool of applicants applying for them just because they're a bit more unknown. I mean, we have some sort of alumni who are kind of development assistants in kind of much smaller companies that you might not have heard of, but they're in the industry. They're probably getting much more experience and sort of more hands-on experience than someone in a much bigger company, and so potentially finding something in that area that is a little off the track from what you know as big media companies, but is still there, are still in the industry, and could be a potential sort of segue into bigger companies, or even just working up in those smaller companies.
I did want to also add that as an entertainment reporter, I did work very closely with Warner Brothers, Universal as well, is doing their press sets and things of that nature. So, and I've also been a victim of thinking about the bigger companies because I've have history with working with them. So are there any platforms that can also direct me to like the smaller companies or platforms that might also help as well?
I think in regards to kind of like for like websites, like sort of, if there's sort of job listing websites, I think there's
a couple of job listing websites. There's one called Creative Access, and that lists a lot of different opportunities that are not just like, film and TV jobs. They'll have like different sides of the industry, so it's creative industries in general. Creative Access, what else has?
It is, I think it's, I'm sure you guys probably have found this as well, it's quite difficult searching for media related jobs on generic jobs websites, because like producer can mean anything to 100 different sort of people, and often a lot of the words that are from media I feel like have been kind of co-opted by other businesses and in other industries. And so I think I often will find myself, if I'm looking for a role, I'll go more on the company career pages, because I know, if I'm on the Warner Brothers career page, I know it's all going to be obviously related to sort of media, and sort of same with Universal. And then, it's about sort of trying to find those other jobs boards that bring together just kind of the arts and media jobs, but they are trickier to find. I know one or two, again, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but we can send some to Josh.
Another thing is, because you're not junior entering this industry, like you have a good amount of experience, you might want to talk to some recruitment companies, because they won't represent like more junior people, and there are ones for careering up, and then just like recruitment companies in general, because a lot of them I've noticed have like a media section, so they will maybe sometimes have requests from companies to fill a media role that like they wouldn't usually use. So it's even companies that represent like executive assistants, like operation assistants. So one is like Tiger Recruitment. They have like a media section. And maybe just speaking to some of their advisors, because they may have more of an insight into what companies and what clients they work with that would be able to support a visa that have the capacity where they're looking for someone with your experience to come in. So I would try, and you might have to do some real like out of the box thinking, but even just like contacting recruitment companies that will consistently work with clients in the industry would be quite good, because they might know whether whoever they have, whether one of their clients can support a visa and have like a media section big enough that would include like your skills and your background in the industry. Does that make sense?
Amazing. Any more questions? If not, we actually have one online on the live stream. I'm pretty sure it's aimed at you, Owen. It says, I'd really love to know more about the period of work you did at WWF, which is you. How did you find this role, and what specifically was involved? From Catherine.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Catherine. I had a great time there, and I think it was very different from any of the other kind of companies I'd worked in, but it was exciting to still be doing what I was passionate about, and also sort of fighting for a cause that I was also passionate about. NGOs, or kind of charities, are a very different world kind of structurally and sort of from a business standpoint, and so that sort of comes with good and bad. They can often be a bit more brutal when it comes to kind of layoffs or restructures, because it's almost entirely obviously funded by donations, and so that can fluctuate a lot. My day-to-day, it was very much, I kind of worked in the content team, and other teams would come to us with pitches and ideas or content they need created, and then we'd kind of take it off their hands and kind of using them almost like as a client. We'd then work with them to create whatever the content was. It could have been a photo shoot of a new sort of rhino tracking device that WWF had funded in Africa, or sort of looking at how wetlands are changing in the UK. And most of the time my role was then reaching out to photographers or filmographers or the people that we knew in those certain areas to then go out and actually kind of create that content. And then if it was a video, for example, footage would come back, I'd then find an editor. Usually we had like a number that we'd work with, and we knew, oh, this is a great one for this editor or that editor, freelancers. And then I'd oversee that edit with them and sort of send it back to our internal team, who were keen to sort of then see how it turned out, and then kind of be the point person to make sure they were kind of happy with the final product, and also offer some sort of distribution strategy if needed, like where was it going out? Was it on YouTube or on linear television, or was it a billboard in, you know, Waterloo kind of stations? So it was great fun, and I highly recommend it if you're kind of passionate both about the creative process and creating content, but you want that content to be something meaningful and impactful and sort of changing the world in the way you want to change it. There's an amazing variety of jobs in charities across the world that you can kind of be a part of in social media teams or content teams that can really help you feel like you're putting some good out into the world.
Nice, amazing. If there's no more questions, any more questions? No. Anything you'd like to add? Final remarks before we sign off this live stream?
Oh, anyone that wants to work in scripted film and TV, maybe if you add me on Facebook and I'll add you to Production Rabble, because it's a very gate-kept Facebook group where they post jobs.
Nice.
That could be quite useful.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'll send my link.
If we send
to
all
Josh.
these links, I'll send them to Nikki.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can send them around to the students.
There's a lot of Facebook groups that are kept very secret.
Amazing. Anything from you two?
So I would just say, like, not to bang on the same drum, but our industry is vast, and there's a lot there, and you know, don't give up on whatever your dream is, because I'm sure you can achieve it, and you can find it somewhere in this beautiful melting pot that is entertainment.
Morgan, anything from you?
Just thanks for having us. I think you put together a good little panel here, Josh.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all come together. Like rhubarb. Amazing. Thank you very much. We'll look at this camera. Thank you for joining us today, and the lovely audience here. I'm Josh Barker.
I'm Owen.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Morgan.
And you have been watching our live alumni panel, live from Royal Holloway. Thank you very much, and have a good day.